you've got a player like that, yes, it's all about the player, but a lot of things need to have gone right along the way so that player can come through. So I have to say congratulations to you all for doing your part.
Thank you.
When it came to her moving on, how did that come about?
Oh, I got goosebumps there. You made me go weak at the knees, Amanda. I think maybe I'm in a privileged position because at Park Langley, like I said at the beginning, we seem to have this. We have a massive pool of players. We have a huge program, so the chances of us seeing some real talented kids is quite high. You know, I think, at the moment, for example, we coach 2,000 people a week. That's juniors and adults, but 70% of that is probably juniors. So the pool of players is massive. We have the reputation, we have the facility, so we've got a lot of things going for us. So we're very fortunate that we get a lot of good players. At the same time, though, I want to stress, you know, it's hard work producing good players. I remember, just to digress a little bit, I remember I did some sessions with Paul Dent once, and we did this one night. Emma may even have been there, and you know, we really put in a shift, Paul and I, and all the kids left at the end, and we were clearing up at the end, and he looked at me and he went, "It's hard work producing good players, isn't it?" And I was like, yeah, it is. It really is. You know, you really do have to put in the effort and the work. And so we've got a combination, I think, of that at Park Langley. Yes, we've got the pool, but we, you know, certainly myself, put in the hours. So when I saw Emma, you know, I'm very open-minded as a coach. You know, I think players are going to move on, probably. And so when I coached Emma, I was never sacred. I never wanted to hold on to her because I just thought to myself, well, look, if I coach her for 2 years, if I coach her for 4 years, if I coach her until she's 18 years of age, it's a bonus. You know, these players don't come along that often. I'm just going to get stuck in and I'm going to try and do my absolute best for her, no matter how long I work with her for. And one of the things that I've always tried to be as a coach is honest. And it gets me in trouble sometimes. Some people don't like it, you know, but one of the things that I experienced when I played, and I didn't play to any real level, to be honest with you, but there was no clarity. It was all so grey and no one really said it the way it was. And I've always thought, you know what, if I'm going to be a coach, I am going to be honest, upfront, and I'm going to tell people exactly what I think, because I don't want to con them. I don't want to sell them a dream. I don't want to, do you know what I mean? I don't want to be held accountable actually for saying, yeah, your son, your daughter's going to be a pro when they're nowhere near. So I just made sure that when I was coaching Emma, you know, that I did those things. And I worked a lot with her dad. You know, we had a very open and honest relationship. He was exactly the same. You know, if I did a session and he didn't like the content or thought we were going off on a direction that we didn't need to go off on, you know, he'd tell me, you know, or, you know, if I turned up late, as I probably did a few times back then, because I was a bit younger, you know, he would say, you know, come on, like, get here on time, sort of thing. So we just had that mutual respect. And it, you know, when she was getting, you know, 9-10 years of age, it was just very obvious to me that she was outgrowing the program we had at the club. She was outgrowing what I could offer her as a coach. You know, I'm the head of performance at Park Langley, so I need to be there. I need to manage the coaches. I need to oversee the whole program. So when it gets to the point where the player needs to start going off and having tournament support and the coach just committing that little bit more, I can't do it. And I don't want to do it. So when it starts to go down that road, I start to kind of flag it up, and I would have flagged that up to Ian, you know. And I remember saying to him once, and Keith Pullen was there actually. It was during an appraisal for the talent ID stuff, and I just said, look, you know, I do think you're going to get to the point with this kid that you've got to seriously think about what you're doing, Ian. You know, and I'm talking about where you live, what job you do. You know, whether she goes to school or not, you know, I think she could be that good. And, you know, I think he really respected that. And I think that's why to this day, he still has quite a lot of time for me, you know, because we did have those conversations. He did move it on, you know, when he decided to move it on. And I said, you know, no problem, you know, and I think, you know, when it gets to that point, you know, I was gutted, obviously, to lose Emma. You know, if I'd have had it, if I'd have listened to my ego, I would have wanted to coach her the whole time, you know, but I think you have to be honest, and it was the right decision. And I said to him, look, you know, who are you thinking of going to? You know, let me help you, you know, with your search for the next coach. And I think he really appreciated that. He spoke to me about some of the guys that he was thinking about, and it made sense. You know, they were very good players back in their day. They still had a very, very good playing level. And that's what he always wanted. He always wanted the level. And you know what? It made sense. And so she moved on to those. He had two people. Andrew Richardson was one of them, and Nick Cavaday was the other.
Right.
And he was really happy with that. And then what happened was, I think Andy went to Colford, left and went to Colford, and Nick Cavaday went on tour with Benaday, is it? Benaday? Can't ever say his name. And so then, you know, I saw him at Newstead Woods at Bromley Tennis Centre, and he was like, "How are you?" And I was like, "Oh no, here we go. What's he gonna ask me here?" He was like, "How are you getting on?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing all right." You know, I was like, "How are you, Ian?" He's like, "Yeah, we're looking for a new coach. You know, who do we go to? I want your opinion." You know, so he always asked me for my opinion, and I always gave it to him. That's the thing. I always gave it to him. And some people don't like it when you do that. You know, I've got players now that I coach. Their parents will ask me a question and they'll want a certain answer. And when I give them the answer, maybe they don't want, I can tell they don't like it. He was never like that. He was like, okay, you know, and he'd go away and he'd think about it. And the coach I actually recommended to him was Alistair Filmer. I just said, look, he's a good player. He's not as strong as the other two, but he can play. You know, the guy plays county week. You know, he's pretty decent. I said, but he's a good teacher. He's a good coach. And he went with it. He went with Alistair Filmer. And he went with, they was together for a while. And he was the coach that did the podcast the other day for the Soto Tennis Academy. So, you know, there was always that collaboration, really, you know, and he could have gone with someone completely different, but he was always one to listen to information. And I think that's really important. He did it at the end of the day, like any parent, he did what he decided at the end of the day, but it was not just on a whim. It was, you know, he would have listened to the advice he was given, for sure. And it was tough. It was tough not coaching her anymore, but it was the right decision. It really was the right decision. I have no regrets. It was the right thing to do at the time.